a new installation that is efficient, that is effective, that is resilient, what those things mean, and frankly, in the end, it got kind of frustrating because we're not doing that anywhere. And the Air Force is frankly, we don't have capital to reinvest in our air bases in order to rebuild our expensive infrastructure, which is so the fact that we don't have that capital means that we are paying through the nose on sustainment that we frankly shouldn't be, but we have to make near-term decisions about our capital investments that doesn't pay back in sustainment, which is the heart of Mr. Henderson's installation infrastructure investment strategy that he published in the last few months. The concept of let's invest in our installations because they are our integral with our weapons systems. The installation is a weapons platform. Without an air base, you can't project air power very far. Mm-hmm. And that's the way our air bases operate and integrate with our airplanes and our airframes and our airmen all at the same time. Those are key concepts that we have been chasing, I think, for a while in the Air Force. And the opportunity at Tyndall, to circle back with why I'm so excited here, the opportunity at Tyndall has been to build some of those things that have been conceptual before, where we're not making investment in the rest of the Air Force because our air bases are just good enough, expensive to operate, and they were built for airplanes that in most cases don't exist anymore. That we're not flying F-4s anymore. We're not. B-52s are still in the inventory, but most of our air bases were built in the 50s and 60s for airframes that are just no longer relevant, and so we've got the tagline of building Tyndall as the digitally integrated air base for the next century is important to me, and I think it's been a great opportunity here to realize that vision on the part of the Air Force leadership. The Chief of Staff of the Air Force gave us the directive to build the digitally integrated air base of the future. Secretary of the Air Force, Dr. Wilson at the time, gave us her vision about how to put technology in here and resilience and a walkable campus, things that are modern. The industry is doing all over the place, but the Air Force isn't anywhere else. And this is our opportunity. This is the Air Force's opportunity to demonstrate what we can do. So that's why we took it a little bit slower here in the initial stages, doing some master planning, doing it right. In identifying which facilities we can save, which ones we can't. We rolled those into the master planning effort, and some really robust analysis on what we want to rebuild and how to integrate the buildings that we could save as the backbone, if you will, of the installation of the future, and rebuild around those as the centerpiece. Dorms that we've got that are remaining from pre-storm, the 3 of the 11, I believe, dorms. Those are all situated very well in the campus of the in the community commons, where they're walkable campus. The gym and the dining facility are all really situated, and we can rebuild dorms around that common spine. Access to the community commons with shopping and actually with some partnerships with the Florida Department of Transportation, we're able to build in some walkable campuses where airmen can maybe a long walk or ride bikes to work. Enable some things that are really not done, as I said, anywhere else.
So you always talk about how you have the A-team working for you. You've had the best engineers, the best planners. You've had these awesome people. What has that meant to you? And why do we want to recruit people to come here to continue to work on Tyndall?
So that's an excellent point. The people that the Air Force has surged here to Tyndall, from my time and before, have all been top notch. The work ethic, the ability to think out of the box, and this is not cookbook. There's figuring out how to be effective and get things done here is not done anywhere else. So it takes a creative mind on the ground, and the Air Force has surged a lot of people here that have been very capable of thinking out of the box and solving problems that don't exist anywhere else, for which there is no recipe. And that is, I'd say that's been the initial surge was active duty and civilians immediately after the hurricane, and then that transitioned to a lot of reservists and some National Guard that came in here, did some of the programming, developing the hardcore cost estimates and working on the MILCON documentation that Congress needs. It's been a total force effort. And going forward, I know that the people coming in are absolutely as capable. It has been the A team every step of the way, in and out of here. And there's kind of an additional point on that, is that this is an opportunity not just to rebuild the base of the future, but an opportunity to invest in our younger officers and our younger civilians, ones that have a whole career in front of them. Tyndall is an incubator for our skill sets as engineers and related Air Force specialty codes that come in here and do construction, do program management, do contract oversight, to do things that are, the pace, forcing you to think outside the box and figure out how to solve problems within the rules, that's a. I used the word incubator a minute ago. It's a really important training ground that the Air Force has cycled a lot of people through here that have had an opportunity to learn things that are lessons that are really not something that you can get anywhere else. When I was younger, I deployed several times, and I learned so much in each of those experiences. This is similar in a vein, in a sense, because the pace and the out of the box thinking, but it's also unique. Just because of the requirements set here.
And one of those unique experiences was President Trump, your commander-in-chief, came here a few weeks ago. What was that like, having POTUS on campus?
That was exciting. I think it was an important milestone. That was shortly before the Congress finally passed the supplemental. I'm sure he had something to do with that. It was exciting. He came here because it's clearly important to him. And as the commander in chief, he recognizes the national defense significance of Tyndall. My role, I briefed White House senior staff in that event, and had a real good opportunity to influence what our senior leaders think. And as I know, as President Trump drove around base and saw the rubble that still exists. In very large part because we had to slow down the recovery without the supplemental. I think that I don't want to impute thoughts to him, but I'm sure that that affected his decision calculus. And he is a real estate investor, and I think he recognized the value of Tyndall to this nation. This is 29,000 acres. 70% of which is trees, or is now trees laying on the ground, and he recognized that there's a lot of ways that we can use this space. We are actively pursuing partnerships for select parcels of land, and finding the right compatible uses of the land through enhanced use leases, P3, P4, public-private partnerships with local municipalities as well as other private entities to use some of the land. And there's a lot of waterfront where that's useful, and some of our campus planning concepts where we're moving the fence line to make more of the base. More of the government property accessible will enable a lot of those partnerships to move forward.
I wanted to ask you, because at the end of your morning staff meetings, you always say, go do good things. So why is that your mantra? And, you always say that.
So I trust my people to go do good things. I that's kind of the way my leadership style. I define a lane for my team, for the individuals, and I don't like to really do task identification. It's more as define the lane, and then I know they'll go do good things within that lane. And I actually, I usually think, as I say in my head, go do good things. I think go do them faster too. I think a couple of times I've actually said that, but the fact is everybody is doing great things on this team and is doing them incredibly quickly. But that's kind of a common theme that this team of A-team players has very much lived up to.
And what advice are you going to give your replacement, Colonel Lori Walden? She's come in, she's shadowing you, and you're passing the baton to her.
Frankly, I think she's got it. She's she's going to be great at this job, and there's really, as far as advice, enjoy it. You're going to have great teams supporting you. There are a lot of mission partners that are supporting you, and you will succeed in this. There is no risk on that. There is Tyndall is a great place, and there's all kinds of great people here that it's going to be fun. So enjoy it.
So, any final thoughts for our listeners, Colonel Hyden?
This assignment has been. This 5 months on the ground at Tyndall has been the professional opportunity of a lifetime for me as an in my 24 years wearing this uniform. It's unforgettable. I don't know what all is in front of me, but as long as the Air Force lets me keep wearing this uniform, this has been an experience that I will never forget. The opportunity to have impact and really do things that fundamentally matter for people that I say my job here has been to go local. I've gone native, and I'm kind of I don't mind acknowledging that I've gone native. My job here is to rebuild Tyndall and to outreach to all of our mission partners, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been very gratifying. So as I go back to the air staff, some of the innovative processes that we've put in place because we need them at Tyndall. My job back in the air staff, MILCON facility policy, frankly, is to pursue some of those same innovative processes, not because they're good for Tyndall, but because they're good for the Air Force. And so I foresee that I will be working some of the same things from a different angle. And it's an opportunity, good thing, to port some of these great ideas and business processes much farther than the panhandle of Florida.
Well, thank you, sir. I'd like to thank our listeners for joining us today on Inside AFIMSC PA. I'm Veronica Kemeny, and we'd like to thank again Colonel Brent Hyden, the director of Tyndall's Program Management Office, as he wraps up his tour here at Tyndall. Please check out the rest of our story on our Facebook page to see what we've been up to. Thanks, Colonel Hyden.
Thank you very much, Veronica.